Okay, so now I want to turn to something called What the Fuck Happened?
Yes.
What the fuck happened? Tell me, share your what was the first thing? Were you involved in the DAO hack? Do you remember that? Where were you? What was going on through your mind when the DAO was being hacked? Share that with folks.
So yeah, I have an interesting perspective on that because I was the hacker. No, just kidding. but I mean, the DAO obviously garnered so much attention when it came out. I invested a little bit into the DAO as well, as I'm sure most people did, given it had such a big amount of the total ether in it. So I had a small amount in it, and I remember when the attack happened, it was very confusing. I mean, first Peter Vicines came out with the recursive call vulnerability, and things moved very fast from there with the attack and everything that happened. So I guess it would be bemused. I was very bemused. It was entertaining in a way. I knew that I was watching something really important historically.
Right.
So it was very interesting. But I thankfully didn't have enough skin in the game to be really emotionally worried about what would happen to my stake.
So the next thing was all of this kind of drama about what should we do, and then the hacker said if you try to deny me this, I'm going to sue you.
Right.
I'm going to take you to court.
Yeah.
You're violating my rights.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, if I get it correctly, that kind of led to the decision to basically fork it. So it's a new thing. You can't have any claim on this. It's kind of a clean cut, right? So what was your thinking in regards to that? Were you like, okay, this is the right thing to do? What was your feeling at the time?
I think it's difficult to ascribe a value like right or wrong, but I mean, in Ethereum's case, the governance model is very clear. There's the foundation, there are developers. And although the community is very large, although the community is very large and the users and the miners are important, I mean, if the development talent left Ethereum and worked on a different project, then it would be a very different kind of entity and organization. Yeah. So them deciding what to do, they did have a lot of power, and if they thought that saving $150 million or 15% of all the ether, preventing that from being lost in a theft, was the right thing to do to protect the very nascent Ethereum technology and Ethereum project, then fair play, because they're entitled to do what's best in Ethereum's interest. Right. I think there are people on the other side who felt betrayed, people who thought that
immutability, the whole idea that code
exactly,
like the violation of the trust.
Right. It was a bailout. It was definitely a bailout. In terms of investors were rescued from a bad investment, which they themselves should have been liable for.
Right.
There should have been no onus on anyone else to kind of babysit them or look after them.
And they could have, I mean, in hindsight, they could have tested the code more. They could have done a lot more instead of just like, hey, it's fine. Because there was even hints to those problems with the code, right? There was like people saying, hey, there's something wrong here.
Yeah, I think so, but I mean, Ethereum has been incredible at marketing itself, and it's gotten a lot of hype and a lot of attention. But I think people forget that it's still very young. The technology is very young.
It's still a beta.
Absolutely. It is very, very young, and there are going to be issues in the code base, and things are going to come up. That's natural.
So the hack happened.
Yeah.
The fork happened.
Yeah.
Now, did you have any thought that Ethereum Classic would happen? Did you think that there was a possibility that it wouldn't die, that it would raise its head and come back? I mean, what were you thinking?
There was one very nervous moment where the price was rising and mining power was moving over to Classic, and it was kind of uncertain.
You know what happened? Why that happened?
Because Barry Silbert tweeted that he's going to buy Ethereum Classic, and then the price went up like.
I heard that one. I also heard the fact that people were. They didn't know whether Classic was the new one or the original one. So Classic was like the naming became an issue. So people were confused on which was which.
Right.
And there was a bunch of confusion at that time too.
Yeah, I think most of the kind of hardcore miners and stuff would have known that.
Right, which was which. But the average person that was coming in and the confusion.
Yeah, that's
kind of happened.
That's true.
It happened so fast.
That's true.
So what's your opinion now with Classic? I mean, Classic has gone from 4 members now to over 2,000.
When you say members, what do you mean?
On the participants, on their Slack and everything else. Started with 4 people on their Slack, over 2,000. I don't know if you know Chandler Gao.
Yeah.
He's a big Bitcoin miner, but he's more than that. Chandler Gao basically has investments in the largest, exchanges in Japan are Chandler Gao's in many respects, right? They're his partners. He's part of he's a chairman of the organization.
I remember he said that he was bringing all of his mining power to come and destroy Classic, right?
Yeah. And then he did the amazing thing was, he said, I made a mistake.
Did he?
I was listening to my friend Vitalik, and I realized it was the wrong decision to do. And now I am switching, and I am going to support. So he has like 30% of the hash power of ETC. It's because of Chandler in many respects that ETC can't be 51 attacked. Because he is in a meeting that
he's like the big brother.
He's the big brother, buying. Over 200 million R&D has been invested since the fork into Ethereum Classic through the exchanges, through everything. I mean, there is lots of money, and he's basically the Bitcoin miner, and all the miners listen to Chandler Gao. So Chandler Gao has made the announcement. Chandler is ETC, not ETH. China is ETC, not ETH.
Really?
So, and when you understand the dynamics of what that means, and very few people really don't understand it. In many respects, how I look at it is like all of a sudden China saying, we are no longer supporting the dollar. We are calling back all our money in the dollar. We may still participate on the exchange rate, but we are no longer part of this dollar thing.
Why did he have this epiphany after his talk with Vitalik?
You know, he never mentions that he had the talk. I have quite a few videos out there about my opinion on kind of what happened, and I actually have I call it an opinion piece on LinkedIn that has all the components, and I tie it into kind of like a Game of Thrones. So my big thing is we're so upset that Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, isn't happening, that we created Game of Thrones on the blockchain. And really this is it. All of this fork and all this bullshit is Game of Thrones. And if you look at Game of Thrones, obviously the Starks is classic because they're the ones who were nearly killed at the blood wedding. That's the fork, right? The blood wedding when Jon was killed. And then the Lannisters, with all the money, with all the power, with all the troops, with everything, are is ETA. So I created this whole, and I kind of called Chandler one of the generals and defected. So I created this whole kind of storyline, behind it. I don't know what motivated him, whether it was some of my talks, some of my kind of observations on it, or him just realizing that, hey, he always talks about immutability, that really, that, like you said, the fact of it was done to benefit. It was a bailout, and the bailout probably shouldn't have happened. They should have taken the loss, or figured out instead of completely changing the system. And I think and Chandler is really not the type of guy that wants to control ETC. He's like the father. He sees himself as the dad, right, on it. Yeah. So, but that's, so the reality now, there's a lot of interest in development happening on ETC. I'm launching my project on ETC FoundUps. So FoundUps is a decentralized business model that I started in 2009. Okay, cool. If you look at my talks, I actually have a history and claim on Ethereum that I shared, what I developed called the Open Innovation Framework with Vitalik's mentor called Michal Alisi, right? And who I was hoping was to be here because I'd love to talk with him. Basically what I did is I described a platform which I didn't know how it would be engineered, that had all the aspects of Ethereum. And when I saw the talk of Ethereum by Stephen Tao, I was like, holy shit, someone has fucking done OIF. That's what I call it, the Open Innovation Framework. Holy shit, this is amazing. And then I realized, holy shit, the one guy I described everything to is best mates with the guy who wrote the paper. So when the DAO happened, I didn't even know the DAO existed. So when the DAO happened, I was like, holy shit, there's the DAO, because the DAO plays a very central role in FoundUps. It's the venture fund that launches the next generation of startups, decentralized startups with FoundUps, right? Each FoundUp is a child DAO of the DAO. The DAO then, each of these FoundUps level up and become their own DAO. So DAOs become DAOs. Everything is driven autonomously through an autonomous agent, okay? So then the fork happened, And I was like, kind of like, holy shit, there's 2 of them. This one's mine. ETC. I was like, Vitalik, you keep yours. I'm taking your cast off. So I'm basically making a play, right? And I want to rebrand Ethereum Classic to ETC FoundUps. We're either going to, and next year we have to fork. So either we're going to fork and be ETC FoundUps, and our coin will be ups, or ETC Classic, we will get consensus. And the way that I envision us getting consensus is the valuation of ups, our coin, is going to be greater than ETC, and we'll offer a 1-to-1 transfer. So let's say I have a 20% increase in valuation of ups. We will have a year to 2-year hold on the exchange, right? So there'll be no pump and dump crap, right? And we can say, listen, we will give you 1-to-1 ETC for ups, right? And we collect all the ETC, we have consensus, we fork it, we add the noodle, which is the autonomous agent. So next year when we fork it, we'll add AI to ETC FoundUps. And if we can't add it to the main one, it'll be on the fork. So that's so basically I consider myself one of the royals of Ethereum, the unknown royal. That I played an important role in the development of Ethereum, and Ethereum Classic is an opportunity for me to kind of come out of my exile and say I'm here, and this is what I'm doing. So that's it.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. I wish you